Veronica, how can I make my podcast show up on the Spotify app? You got it. Uploading your podcast to Spotify is super easy, and in this video, I'm going to show you how you can do it for free and in 3 simple steps. We're going to do it together because that's how I like to do things. I don't like to do things alone. Our channel is full of resources for podcast creators like you, so make sure you subscribe to keep those skills up to date. And so you can keep seeing this frosty mug. Okay, the first step is to create an account with Spotify for Podcasters. It's free and you don't need a credit card to sign up. For this, go to podcasters.spotify.com and hit Get Started. Then you'll be prompted to choose between 2 options depending on where you are in your journey as a podcast creator. You can either start a podcast from scratch, or if you already have a podcast hosted somewhere else, you can switch to Spotify for Podcasters or create an account with Spotify to access some of the features and get more detailed analytics about your show. And by the way, if you need help in the planning and developing stages of your podcast, I have a free mini course called Idea to Podcast Simplified for Business Owners, so you can finally launch your podcast and turn leads into clients without adding anything else to your to-do list. After watching this video, you can go to podcastingsmart.com to enroll for free. I'll also leave the link in the description below. But for this demonstration, we're going to choose the I want to start a podcast option. Here, you'll be prompted to create an account with Spotify if you don't have one already, or if you already have an account with Spotify, you can use the same credentials or Google account to sign in. I already have an account with Spotify for Podcasters for our podcast content, Jefe, so I will log in using my credentials. Then it's going to show you that you're logged into Spotify for Podcasters, formerly known as Anchor. Why are we not just uploading our podcast to Spotify directly?
That's a very good question, Veronica.
When you have a podcast, you need a podcast hosting service. It's a service where you upload your MP3 files, podcast cover, and other information about your podcast. From your podcast host, you also set the automatic distribution of your podcast to Spotify and Apple Podcasts and the other podcast players. A few years ago, Spotify acquired Anchor.fm, which was a free podcast hosting service, and changed the name to Spotify for Podcasters. This is why you have to create an account with Spotify for Podcasters and upload your podcast there so your podcast can stream on Spotify. So returning to the screen, you want to click Continue to the app. This will take you inside Spotify for Podcasters. Spotify for Podcasters will send you an email verification, and then you're ready to upload your first episode. From this screen, you can click on Let's Do It. Then you'll be prompted to upload the audio file of your podcast episode. Veronica, I don't have a podcast episode. Okay, check this out. You can click Record and Edit and record a podcast from your browser. You can also download the Spotify for Podcasters app and record and edit your podcast using your smartphone. But wait, chat. Don't just rush to press record and publish your first episode of nonsense. This is your first podcast, and I want you to make it just right. We don't want to put caca on Spotify. But if you thought your girl would push you into recording a podcast without any instructions on how to make a podcast that sounds amazing, will grow your audience, and will make you money, you are wrong. I have a video coming your way where I teach you how you can make an impressive podcast using the Spotify for Podcasters app on your phone, so make sure you subscribe.
Subscribe!
You can also record your podcast like a professional podcaster using a good quality microphone and headphones in a sound-treated area. For demonstration purposes, I will record an episode for Content Jefe so I can show you the uploading process. Look at me podcasting. By the way, don't forget to check out this episode. I'll leave the link in the description below. Now that we have an episode, we can move on to the second step, which is uploading. Uploading your podcast is pretty easy. You can click on the Upload button or drag and drop your files. Spotify for Podcasters supports audio files, and check this out. Spotify for Podcasters also supports video files. Yes, you can upload the video files of your video podcast so users can watch and listen your podcast on Spotify. How cool is that? I'm going to go ahead and upload my podcast and add the title, episode description, and some additional details about the episode, like the episode season and number, and whether the episode is a trailer or a regular episode. After I have uploaded all my assets, we are ready for step 3, which is the posting and distribution to Spotify. And this is the easy part. When you hit publish, your podcast will automatically be distributed to Spotify without you doing anything else. So I'm going to go ahead and hit publish now, or I can schedule the episode to be published at a later time and date. But I'm going to hit publish because why not? ¿Por qué no? After hitting publish, your episode will be automatically distributed to Spotify. So let's check. And here it is. We did it. Welcome to Content Jefe. My latest episode of Content Jefe is now live on Spotify. And I am part of the podcast. So now that my podcast is on Spotify, what are all of the great things that will happen? Spotify, just like Apple Podcasts, is one of the biggest places for podcasts in the world, with 36 million listeners and more coming every day. Spotify is easy to use and has great features for finding new shows. For example, inside the app, they have a podcast swipe up feature that recommends shows to Spotify users, and it works just like TikTok or IG Reels, recommending episodes from shows they follow or also introducing new shows based on user behavior. This means that your pod will be suggested to other podcast listeners on the platform. And that's what we want. We want our shows to be in front of new audiences. Now, if you're ready to start recording a video podcast and want to do it with your smartphone, it is absolutely possible. You can record a video podcast directly into your iPhone or use your iPhone as a webcam. But if you're going to use your smartphone to record a podcast, it's important to capture good audio. And in this video, I test different microphones and record an episode for our podcast using my iPhone. Go check it out.